I don't know if we've all met. My name is Irene, and sometimes I'm here in the morning and sometimes not, but I try to be here. And I'm a yogi. Do any of you guys know what yoga is? That's okay, it sounds weird too. So yoga is a practice that comes to us from India, and it's a practice of moving the body and breath at the same time. And one of the other things that comes from India that's so awesome are wonderful stories. And I'd like to tell you one today that comes to us from Indian mythology. So within the huge panoply of deity that is India, there's one god named Hanuman, and he's a monkey god. He's the child of an attendant of the gods and the king of the monkeys. So he's pretty powerful, and he was clever. He was widely renowned for being really, really smart. So clever that he would sometimes get himself into trouble because he was kind of mischievous too, like monkeys are. He would get into things and make change, and that's not always what people want you to do. So he was cursed that he would never know his own strength. So he would forget some of the things that he could do until someone reminded him that he was strong. And then he would remember and go, oh yeah, that's right, I'm Hanuman, I can do anything. So one day, he and two of his friends were looking for their friend Sita. She had been taken captive and they didn't know where she was, and they searched all of India, and they finally came to the sea. And they were running out of hope. No one had seen her, and then they ran into a man who said, I know where Sita is. She's across the sea, right across from here, at another city, being kept in a walled garden. And they said, great, now we know where Sita is, but oh no, we have no boat. No way to get across the ocean. What are we going to do? And one of Hanuman's friends said, well, I could jump halfway across the ocean, but then I'd still be halfway from shore. And the other friend said, well, when I was a young man, I could jump all the way across the ocean, but now that I am older, I could jump maybe 90% of the way, and then I probably wouldn't have the energy to jump all the way back carrying Sita. And Hanuman sat and looked sadly at the ocean, and he didn't know what to do. And then one of his friends remembered, we're with Hanuman. He can do anything. So the two friends went over to Hanuman. They began to praise him, to remind him of his strength. You are so strong. You are so powerful. You can do anything. And Hanuman, surrounded by praise, began to feel enthusiasm and empowerment. And he began to grow. He got taller and taller and taller until he was tall enough to jump over the ocean. So he wiggled down, and he put a nice deep bend in his knees to protect all of his lower muscles. Personal trainer. And then he jumped across the ocean, and he was flying through the air, and the gods who were watching were so impressed that they decided to send a monster to challenge him, because I guess that's what you do. So Hanuman was flying through the air, and the sea serpent Ceres came up to meet him. And she said, Hanuman, the gods have given you to me for my food. You can go no further until you have entered my mouth. And Hanuman said, your mouth is going to have to be a whole lot bigger before you can eat me. Have you noticed I am tall enough to jump over the sea? And Ceres, of course, being magical, made her mouth even bigger, and Hanuman got even taller. And Ceres made her mouth even bigger, and Hanuman got even taller. And then he shrunk down to the size of your thumb, and before Ceres could blink, jumped into her mouth and then back out of it. And he said, Ceres, I have jumped into your mouth and back out of it. May I continue on my journey? And Ceres was so impressed by his cleverness that she said, oh, okay, go ahead. And Hanuman touched down safely on the other side of the sea. Hanuman solved that problem by surrounding himself with people who built him up, who helped him. And he solved that problem with knowing his own strength. And he solved that problem with his body. And he solved it with his cleverness, with his mind. He used his whole self to solve the problem. And we need to remember to use our whole selves and to surround ourselves with the right people, right? Thank you for listening to my story. Mr. Charles is going to lead you guys to religious education.